Hello and welcome to the Latch podcast. Today we are going to get into maternal health in the US and how that affects breastfeeding care within the US. So, as you know, I'm an IBCLC, but prior to being an IBCLC, I was a doula both for birth and postpartum. During my time supporting moms in that space, I got a really close look at how maternal health care is laid out in different areas of the US. I was a doula in Puerto Rico for most of the time and then also in North Carolina as well. My children are older, they're almost 17 and 11, so I am always trying to stay hip to what's going on within the maternal health care space as it does change and hopefully improves across time. I'm Amber Ginn, IBCLC, and empowering moms in their breastfeeding journey is what I do. Breastfeeding comes with a lot of opinions. Your doctor, your mother-in-law, that random lady at the park, and it can leave you feeling like you're constantly second-guessing yourself. That's why I created the Latch podcast, to cut through the noise and give you real, judgment-free, no BS advice that actually helps. Whether you're nursing, pumping, or combo feeding, this is the place for you to get the real support and information you deserve. So grab a drink, get comfy, and let's get into it. So let's quickly get into what most mothers experience in terms of maternal health care in the US as it stands right now. So depending on who they go with for their prenatal care, they'll have care across their pregnancy, they'll give birth most likely in a hospital, and then after being discharged from the hospital, they'll check back in with their obstetrician, midwife, etc. about 6 weeks after baby is born. At that point in time, as you all know, most mothers are given the clearance to return to intimacy, to return to exercise, and they're given a brief spiel on postpartum depression and other mood disorders to keep an eye out for. They're given counseling on birth control if that's what they decide to do, and then they're sent on their way. They don't return to their obstetrician or gynecologist until the following year for their checkup, or unless they get pregnant before that, and then the whole process starts again. Listening to that laid out, it probably sounds a bit lackluster, and I'd imagine you're listening to this, you're a mother, or you will be one soon, and you're seeing that there's a lot of spots and holes in the current system that we have set up for mothers in terms of maternal health care. So my issue and what I'm hoping to remedy within the breastfeeding space is that we have that same lack of continuity of care when it comes to breastfeeding care as well. So first and foremost, a lot of women don't even realize that they can get lactation care covered by their insurance. And I always like to use when I'm talking to moms and my marketing as a business owner, that this is free lactation care, free care covered by insurance. I was talking with a business mentor one day though, and he's like, no, you got that framed all wrong. It's actually better than free because they're already paying for it. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. I'm an entrepreneur. I've always been self-employed. And so I've not ever had health insurance in the way that most people do. So I was not framing it that way because if you are insured through your employer, you have to pay for that insurance. Most moms don't realize that it is something they're already paying for. And so you already are doing all the hoops to have your insurance. And a lot of moms are not realizing that they can get skilled lactation care, both prenatally and postpartum, included in what they're already paying for. So it comes down to really a lack of access of information and the fact that most moms are not aware that they can get this care. So that was one of my big goals in creating my private practice, is to really expand the awareness of the access of lactation care. You can get that care covered by your insurance. IBCLCs do exist. I think a lot of mothers don't even realize that lactation practitioners exist outside of the hospital or the clinical setting. There are plenty of IBCLCs in private practice in the US, but there are not enough to meet the demand of moms in terms of how many moms we have becoming mothers every day. In the US, it's about 10,800-ish babies being born every single day. And I think we have about 3,000 lactation consultants in private practice. So clearly there's a big demand, but I think lack of available information to mothers and lack of skilled lactation care, being able to meet moms when they do have needs of care, is kind of lacking within the US right now. So while you do have the ability to utilize your insurance to get lactation care, a lot of moms get really frustrated because they can't find someone who can get them in quickly. They can't find someone in their area, or they hire someone in their area and that person turns out to not be a really good fit. So, in my private practice, the Latch Link, I am really focused on helping mothers get access to not just quick care, not just care that's covered by their insurance, but the best care that they can access. Because a lot of times, mothers are lulled into this sense of I need to get care that's in home because how can they help me if they're not hands on? And so they just default to hiring the person who happens to be in their neighborhood when in reality, that person may not be the best practitioner for them. Depending on where you live, you might have an excellent IBCLC near you, but you might not. So it's really important to remember that you have a lot of choice and agency within who it is you entrust to support you along your breastfeeding journey. One of the big issues that I see as an IBCLC with other people in the industry is that there is a lot of bias that is carried along into how moms are supported within breastfeeding care. A lot of IBCLCs carry a lot of bias around their own opinions and unfortunately a lot of times from their own experiences as moms. The last thing a mom needs is a lactation consultant, a nurse, a doctor, whomever coming to her and giving her advice based on their own personal opinions. What moms deserve is access to care that's based on evidence and fact and objective data, not just on their subjective experience and opinions relating to breastfeeding care. I've had so many moms come to me and tell me that they had an IBCLC who came to them and was just really judgy and pushy, and it was just a bad experience. And a lot of times I'll be working with a second or third or fourth time mom and they'll tell me that they had an IBCLC with their first baby and they were like, I wasn't going to do that again because it was just such an unpleasant experience where they felt judged and pushed into making decisions that weren't in alignment with their goals. And so just remember that there are plenty of IBCLCs like myself who exist who are not trying to push upon you our opinions. My biggest goal as an IBCLC is to meet moms exactly where they are and support them in whatever their breastfeeding and infant feeding journey looks like. And there's like a million different ways to breastfeed a baby and to feed a baby. So just remember that you are not stuck with whomever is in your neighborhood. With my private practice, the Latch Link, my biggest goal is to fill in the issue of lack of continuity of care. As I touched on earlier, it definitely is lacking within the maternal healthcare space, but it's also severely lacking within the breastfeeding care space as well. The way most private practice lactation consultants are set up now, and even a lot of the clinics are set up now, they cannot meet the demand for mothers who need support. As I mentioned, there's about almost 11,000 babies being born every single day in the US, and there are not 11,000 IBCLCs. There's literally like 3,000 in private practice, roughly. A lot of times, moms will start to struggle with breastfeeding and they'll look on Google and they'll try to find someone locally. And hopefully that practitioner is good enough, as I mentioned. But even if they are, it's very likely that they won't be able to get them in for, a day, a couple days, maybe even a week. At my practice, we're able to get moms in within 12 hours sometimes, but definitely within 24. It's one of the ways that we're revolutionizing lactation care to help moms get the access to care that they deserve and that they really need. And beyond that, once you get in with someone locally in person, it can be really difficult to get them to come back out to help you. In my practice, we're able to get moms in quickly and we're able to offer them just unparalleled continuity of care across time. Our follow-ups are really easy to get scheduled for, and we offer support not just for the putting out fires aspect of breastfeeding care, but also for baby-led weaning. You watched a weird video on TikTok and now you're feeling confused. You're going to your mother-in-law's house for her birthday and you're going to have to breastfeed in front of everyone and you're feeling overwhelmed. We're there for everything, starting solids, returning to work, baby is teething, you guys got the flu, whatever it is, we are here across the entire time. One thing that I'm asked frequently though is, don't you need in-home care in order to learn how to do a good latch or how to have a good latch or how to position your baby? And the way we think about it at the Latch Link is like doing a pull-up. And if you don't care about working out and stuff, this might not be a good analogy, but if I wanted to teach you how to do a pull-up and we have our pull-up bar and I'm right there and I grab onto your hips and I lift you up while you do pull-ups, you can bang out a couple pull-ups and you might be feeling like, awesome, I totally know how to do a pull-up now. And then I leave. And later you go back and you try to do a pull-up and you're like, wait, I could do one before. What happened? That's how breastfeeding care can be when we're reliant on someone coming in and showing us how to do it for us. Because unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how you frame it, our brains like to default to the easier path. And when someone is there for us and we're exhausted and we're overwhelmed and we look at this person as an expert and like they're here to save the day, it's very easy for us to check out and just let them do the hard work for us when it comes to latching our baby. The bottom line and the truth is, in the middle of the night at 2 a.m., when your baby needs to latch and your nipples are bleeding and you're in pain and you're overwhelmed, you're not going to have that IBCLC there to repeat what she taught you in person. And if she didn't have a big focus on teaching you how to do it, you're probably not going to be able to repeat it. And you're going to feel completely overwhelmed and really defeated, and you're going to have to start that whole process over again. And as I said, I love supporting moms and I love business. And so I get it as a business owner. We want to have our customers come back to us, but that's not the way we want them to come back to us. And I have literally heard other IBCLCs talk about how they do weekly appointments with moms because that's the only way they can learn how to latch is they have to come out and latch for them and then they leave and then it goes on to hell again and they have to come back. And that's not how we do things around here. My biggest goal in educating mothers around breastfeeding is to teach you as the mother how to get a good latch, and you don't need me there to do it for you. The most important thing is for you to understand how to actually get a good latch, how to position your baby, and not just how, but why. I spend so much time educating the mothers that I work with on the why behind positioning, the why behind baby's nose placement and chin placement, because those things are so freaking important. And we have someone come out and do things for us. A lot of times those things get lost in the woodwork. Beyond that, not to get off on a tangent, but we have a lot of studies around is home birth safe? Is home birth not safe? I'm not going to get into that at all. But a big issue with anything around birth is that once we observe something, it's difficult to assess its safety or efficacy in a place when it's not observed, because once you're observing it, you're messing it up. And that's exactly how in-home care can be when it comes to lactation. While, of course, even in virtual care, you're being observed, and that's going to add a layer of complexity that you wouldn't have if you weren't. When you're working with someone virtually, you are in your own space and you're not assessing anyone within your personal boundary. And in my experience, working with thousands of moms across all these years, I've seen such exceptional outcomes when moms are allowed to stay in that space. Sure, having someone come to your house is a lot better than having to cart your newborn out across town to another doctor's appointment or, to go see the lactation consultant. It's much better to have someone come in your home. But there's a certain level of stress in receiving someone into your home, especially during that really sensitive time postpartum. And try as we may to be cool and chill, if someone's coming into our house, we're going to feel like we need to pick stuff up and do this and that. But in virtual care, it is so freaking awesome because you can literally just plop down on your couch in your Depends, one boob out, hair in a messy bun. It literally doesn't matter. And I can meet you right where you are right then in the environment that you actually breastfeed in. In addition to that, we are able to provide really excellent education after the fact. I am so passionate about providing clients with educational resources that they can utilize to implement the changes we talked about. So I have such a wide variety of resources of information on everything from latching, oral ties, supply boosting tips, clogged duct protocols, etc., that my clients have this access to this big well of information. And I have so many moms who come to me and they're like, hey, I didn't even realize that I needed this thing that you have. And I had a friend who had an issue and I shared this with her and it totally fixed things from the beginning. And she didn't even need to see anyone. She just shared like a screenshot of something that I had sent her or shared with her. And it was so impactful on a friend. So it's really important, I think, as we move into this kind of uncharted territory of the future where we have so much access to technology and different things that we make sure that we're adapting and not being left behind. Because as we can see, the maternal health care space in general is very antiquated. It is very behind. And if I can do anything in this lifetime, I'm going to do my damnedest to make sure that breastfeeding care does not follow that same trajectory. With virtual care, with my private practice, we are able to offer moms exceptional support across their entire breastfeeding journey, from prenatal consults through to when they're ready to wean and every single thing in between. I have so many moms that I work with where we have standing bi-weekly, monthly appointments where we can check in, they can get all of their questions answered, because the last thing that new moms who are vulnerable need is to just be in the chasms of the internet, watching on TikTok and YouTube, pretty much being sold to from every angle, from companies and brands and people who might not have their best interests at heart. What moms deserve is access to care that is focused on them and their goals. And so that's what we're doing at the Latch link. I just wanted to make this podcast because I feel like a lot of moms, number one, don't realize that they can get care covered by their insurance, but they definitely don't frame it from the place of, oh my God, I'm already paying for this. Why the heck am I not using it already? You do not have to wait until you are in a bad place to reach out for help with breastfeeding. If you hear this podcast and you're like, oh, things are going really well, but I did see that one weird TikTok video that I was curious about, hit me up. That's what I'm here for too. You do not need to wait to reach out until things are a mess. I think that's a big lack that we have within the healthcare space in the US in general, is that a lot of it is treating issues that have already happened rather than being preventative. So a lot of the care that we see in the US in general is just focused on fixing issues once they have already happened. But the beautiful thing about breastfeeding care is that we can work together across your entire breastfeeding journey. We can fix problems as they come up, but we can also make sure that you're provided with education and support so that we fix problems before they turn into bigger problems. The mothers that I've worked with, both prenatally and postpartum, are outfitted with so much information and confidence that when little issues do come up, they know exactly how to fix them rather than having to wait until it becomes a full-blown issue to get help. And then at that point, it's a lot harder to fix things when they're way off the rails than when we catch them right in the beginning. So this whole podcast really was just to educate you on the fact that you deserve access to quality lactation care. If you have insurance, you most likely already qualify for that to be covered 100%. So don't sleep on that. Get support. Don't wait for things to be a mess before you reach out. And remember that lactation care is here for you across your entire journey. You are not limited to that one lady who happens to be in your zip code. And virtual care, in my opinion, is superior to in-person care because of the continuity that we can provide across time and because of all of the other reasons that I laid out, like not having to have a stranger come into your house, learning how to do things yourself in a way that's repeatable. So just remember, you have options and you deserve support. That's it for today, Mama. If this episode helped, don't stop here. Get even more support at thelatchlink.com. Need one-on-one help? Did you know your insurance covers free lactation care? If you have Aetna, Anthem, Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, or UHC, you can get free virtual lactation care right from the comfort of your home. Check your coverage and book your session today at thelatchlink.com. And if you're looking for instant help with latch issues, grab my course, Latch Legend, for step-by-step fixes you can use right now. If you love this episode, subscribe and leave a review. It's the best way to help other moms find the support they deserve. Until next time, trust yourself, trust your baby, and know you are doing an amazing job.